You may recall that several years ago, SAP introduced some new functionality where they opened up API calls for SAP Companion so that you could perform certain actions against SAP Companion content triggered by effectively links within other content in SAP Companion. So, for example, you could have a link that opened a specific help tile or help bubble. I've documented all of these in the Enable Now wiki on the link page. If you search for link, you'll get there. And it's a section down here under Help for API link. Okay? So they provided this functionality a while back, again, being able to open specific help tiles, open or close SAP Companion and things like that. But they also had this functionality in there, being able to jump to a specific step within a guided tour. And this was incredibly interesting functionality because it meant that you could effectively put branches or conditions into a guided tour to jump around, and instead of it being a pure linear activity. So that was very exciting, but unfortunately it did not work. Being able to do this for guided tours, the functionality was there. It's in the documentation saying it's there, but it didn't work. SAP said, oh sure, we'll fix it in a future release, but didn't actually specify which release it would be fixed in. 3 years later, there's still been no official notification that this functionality is there. But even so, periodically I would try because it's functionality that I think is incredibly helpful, so I'd go in and check if it was there yet. And for the past 3 years it hasn't been. But I checked again this week, and lo and behold, this functionality is working. Now, before I get in and show you a demonstration, note that there are basically two ways you can identify the tour step that you want to jump to. Either by using the tour step number, i.e. its sequential number in the guided tour, or by specifying its macro identifier, which is painful to get to, but you can get there. Now, I'm going to say flat out here, do not use this method of specifying the sequence number of the step within the guided tour. Because one, it's actually incorrect. And two, that could change. If someone comes along and inserts a step in the middle or deletes a step, the step number could change. Its macro identifier will never change. They used to have the same options for this select help tile call. You used to be able to specify the MAC ID or the tile number. But the tile number, it didn't work, and obviously it's too problematic to do that, so they've removed that. I expect them to remove this as well, should they ever officially announce this functionality. So don't do this. The other thing is that if you specify step 7, it won't actually jump to step 7, it will actually jump to step 8. Because the steps, I believe, are being stored in an array, and arrays, any good programmer will tell you, always start at 0. So the first step in a guided tour has always got an index of 0. The second step has an index of 1, and so on and so on. So this here where it says select tour step 7, this is actually not the 7th step. It's the one with an index of 7, which is actually the 8th step. So it's always one out. So it's confusing. So always use this macro identifier in here. It's not always easy to get to that, but that's the best thing to use. So let's look at this by way of an example. Here I'm in my S4 system under Manage Sales Orders, simple app in here. And I've got a couple of guided tours. One of those is for updating a sales order. This is a fairly simple one. I've not got all of the steps in there, but I've got enough so that I can show you this branching. So let's go through this guided tour and I'll show you what it currently does and where we want to put that branch. So I'll launch the guided tour. Bit of information at the start, always good to have. Locate the sales order you want to change and click its details button. So I'm going to pick one at random here. Let me go and select this one, this first one. Click its details button. Next step, click edit to start editing it. And we get to this step. And here I say, first let's look at changing the basic data. If you don't want to change any of this data, you can skip forward to changing the items. And this is where I want to have a link that will jump me forward to the section on changing the items if I don't want to change any of the basic data. For now, I don't have that in here. So if I click next, I go to here under basic data. I can change the sold to party, change the customer reference, requested delivery date, and then it goes to this step of click on the items tab. So this is where I want to jump to if I don't want to change the basic data. So let's look at how we can do that. I'll come out of this tour, go into edit mode, start editing this guided tour because I want to find out the information about this guided tour. So here you can see this here under basic data. This is where I've got my text that says, if you don't want to do this, skip forward. And where I want to skip forward to is here, item details. See, this is step number 8. But if I wanted to jump to this, I would actually have to specify 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is what I would actually have to specify if I used the sequence number. But again, I don't recommend doing that. Instead, you need to use the macro. So first of all, I know that I'm going to use this particular command here. So I'm going to take this one. I'm just going to copy this text here. And I'm going to paste it into Notepad so I can build the full command there. So here's Notepad. I'll paste it into here. So I need this command, but I also need this Mac ID of the step I need to jump to. So coming back to here, I can't get to that macro identifier within the editor here. If I go into item details, this is the step I want to jump to. If I go into here, there's nowhere I can find that Mac ID. I've asked SAP to put it onto here, which is all technical information anyway. Just tell us what the macro is here so we can copy that text and use it. But unfortunately, it's not there yet. The only place I can get that is in the web editor. So from here in edit mode, I'm going to go to the options and then go to edit in manager web editor. So that will open up this particular guided tour in the web editor. If you don't use the web editor, don't worry for now. All you care about is here where we have got that step with the item information in it. Click on the items tab. This is the one where I need its macro identifier, the UID of this particular step, which is this here. You can see it starts with Mac underscore, which is exactly what we're looking for in our command here. You can see it's already got Mac underscore something or other. It's this exact thing here. This is what we need. If you don't see that, make sure you're in advanced layout mode. If you're not, it hides that. So make sure in advanced layout, copy that text. I'm going to copy that. And then back in Notepad, that's what I want to put in here. So I'm just going to paste it into there. That gives me my complete command. So I'm going to copy that while we're here. I don't need that anymore. I'll minimize it. I don't need anything else in the web editor, so I'm going to close that down. I'm back here in my regular edit mode for the guided tour. So I'm going to go back to my basic data step because this is where I want to have that jump. So this here, you can skip forward. I want them to be able to click, skip forward and jump to that item details step that we've just built that command for. So I do that by clicking on the plus and go to insert link. Now this is a standard link panel. You can link to a website or anywhere else, but I really want to insert an API command in here. So this is what's going to give us that link that we want. So here I'm just going to paste that exact same text that we just copied into here. So help for API, select tour step, and this is the tour step I want to jump to. The display text is the text you selected, or you could put something else in there if you didn't. But here that should be good. So insert, that's now inserted a hyperlink for me. So I'm just going to apply, save, come out of edit mode. Now, I'm going to start that guided tour again, but I'm already several steps into it at this stage. So when I launch it, I've got the start, I've already done that, already clicked edit, and I'm right to here. And now you can see that I've got this text in here. First, let's look at changing the basic data. If you don't want to change this data, you can skip forward, and here's my hyperlink. So if I click that now, it jumps right to click on the items tab. So I've bypassed those steps for entering the sold to party, customer reference, or requested delivery date. I have in fact branched within my guided tour to somewhere else within that guided tour. And I can then go and perform these actions and carry on doing whatever I'm doing in my guided tour. So that is it. That is now working. Again, there's been no official announcement from SAP. It may be coming soon. I don't know. I just happened to notice this working and I wanted to share that with you because I think this is fantastic functionality and we've literally been waiting for it for 3 years now. So do go to the wiki, go and find the link page, just search for that and look under help for API link. And always make sure you are specifying that Mac ID in here. Don't use the tour step because one, you have to remember to add one to it. And two, it's probably going to get removed anyway, just like they removed it for the help tile option. So there you have it. Hope you find that helpful. Me personally, I'm very excited to have this new functionality. Next, if they just give us a way to easily get to the macro ID without having to go into the web editor, it would be fantastic. SAP, if you're listening, that's the next thing. But so far, great job on making this functionality available. Now go and announce it. Thanks very much for watching. If you enjoyed that, please subscribe.